Hi, my name is David Hoeffel. I'm going to do a persuasive speech over pro athletes and how they are overpaid. And this is my group. All right, back to me. Let's begin. All right, do pro athletes deserve ridiculous amounts of money for their abilities, or is it just the median fan base that determine their pay amounts? I will draw you ladies and gentlemen in and make you draw and ask yourself and give yourself a conclusion and ask yourself, why do they deserve this amount of money? I will talk about pro athletes, pay salaries, and why they're overpaid. Finally, I will speak about how they affect the society, and I will present a visual aid for you guys. One of my main points is, does entertainment determine pay amounts? Does entertainment really justify amounts of money that pro athletes make? And would fans and people who are not fans agree with it? Athletes do start at one point in their sport career and become one of the elites. Don't get me wrong, they're very entertaining, and yes, they've worked hard to get to where they are in their professional career, and they do put strain and risk injury every time a sporting event is sanctioned. This career could end in a blink of an eye, but then again, they're making ridiculous amounts of money. Who cares? Think long about how long you could live off a few million in the bank. Think about this: 10 million in the bank collecting 1.5 interest brings 150 a year. This is nothing for a majority of people, or top athletes. Now, why I bring this attention is the fact that these pro athletes make so much that half the time they get caught up in illegal activities or just completely blow their money instead of investing. Cut some of that money and use it towards lower society and see how they manage it then. Now, I would like to talk about fans and MRP. MRP stands for Marginal Revenue Products. So we know there's a big fan base for pro sports. This fan base is one of the reasons for nice salaries and the tickets we buy in sports memorabilia, and is bought and makes those nice salaries. So if a person was to ask a diehard fan if pro athletes deserve the money, I'm sure they would definitely agree. Now I'm going to talk about MRP. This is defined as marginal product and marginal revenue. It is a measure of how productive a worker is in terms of output, and marginal revenue is a measure of additional revenue generated by each unit of output. And I got this from Milner and Samto 2010. Basically, what it means is a player that contributes to the team the most will receive a higher wage during their next signing. All factors in the willingness of the fans to pay and network to broadcast, which leads to advertisers paying for slots for the broadcasters, and then turns back to the fans of a particular sport and the revenue it has brought in. Next, I will talk about pay salaries. I want to talk about 4 particular pro athletes. First, it will be Tiger Woods. Everybody knows he's a pro golfer. His average is about 78 million. If you combine his winnings, which is 13 million, and then you combine his endorsements, it's 65, makes 78. It's ridiculous, right? Next is Kobe Bryant, pro basketball. His average pay is 62 million combined with his winnings of 28 and his endorsements of 34 million. Now I'd like to talk about Drew Brees, pro athlete or pro football player. He averages 51 million combined. You combine those winnings of 40, which is winnings of salary, and 11 million in endorsements. Now David Beckham, pro soccer. He averages 47. You combine his 5 million in winnings and salary, and then you add his 42 million in endorsements. And I got this information from Forbes 2013. As you can tell, there's a fluctuation in the winnings and endorsements. Now I'm going to bring out my visual aid for you guys. Now, as you can see here, it's kind of hard to see, this computer, I have salaries right here in blue and endorsements. I have Tiger Woods, Kobe, and Drew Brees, and David Beckham. Now the red in the endorsements, as you can tell, is quite bigger on Tiger Woods than some of these other guys. Kobe Bryant and Drew Brees got a pretty high winnings and salary. You know, as you can tell here, Drew, you don't get much in endorsements. But you get right here, you got 78 million just in Tiger Woods, and then he's only 13 in his winnings and salary. So he's really getting a lot from endorsements. Next point. I will talk about pay and how it affects society. When it comes to professional athletes and the media is quick to show how these professionals usually get caught up in some kind of trouble. And I know we're only human and we make mistakes, but these athletes are role models for future athletes. And it tends to get asked, why are we paying them great amounts of money when they're going to turn around and become an act of violence or some big news feed? Obviously, it's not my place to make decisions for the world, but some donations of these high salaries would make a great change in the economy, even though some of the athletes do contribute. In conclusion, I talked about pro athletes, pay salaries, and why they are overpaid. Finally, I also spoke about pro athletes and pay and society. Clincher, do you guys agree that pro athletes are overpaid? And let's see. Okay. That is it for my review. Here's the group again. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.